Good morning. It's March 6th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Well, the State of the Union is coming up this week, and there are two issues that I have found Democrats run to when they have nothing else to campaign on. The first is Social Security, and the second is abortion. Since nobody has a real solution to Social Security, and then Speaker McCarthy took it off the table in budget negotiations with President Biden, it leaves abortion as the only issue for Democrats to campaign on. They're making an assumption that this is the only issue that people, particularly women, care about. Now, I will admit the Republicans keep handing this issue to Democrats on a silver platter. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it was a cataclysmic event. Pro-life supporters cheered and pro-choice supporters took to the streets to protest. At the time, I asked some people on both sides of this controversial issue what Roe v. Wade actually said in that landmark decision over 50 years ago. The overwhelming response I got from both sides was it allowed a woman to get an abortion anytime she wanted. Unfortunately, that was not true, and it showed how the court decisions can be interpreted wrongly by almost everyone involved. The court at that time tried to thread the needle. It created the trimester framework. During the first trimester, when it was believed that the procedure was safer than childbirth, the court ruled that a state government could place no restrictions on women's ability to choose to abort a pregnancy other than imposing minimal medical safeguards, such as requiring abortions to be performed by licensed physicians. From the second trimester on, the court ruled that evidence of increasing risk to the mother's health gave states a compelling interest to allow them to enact medical regulations on abortion procedures so long as they were reasonable and, quote, narrowly tailored to protecting the mother's health. From the beginning of the third trimester on, the point at which a fetus became viable under medical technology available in the early 1970s, the court ruled that a state's interest in protecting prenatal life became so compelling that it could legally prohibit all abortions except where they're necessary to protect the mother's life or health. Basically, what the decision said, in the first trimester, abortion was legal. In the second trimester, states could regulate abortions. And in the third trimester, states could ban it. It was that language that set up Dobbs to win in the current court. It never said or even suggested that a woman could get an abortion without restrictions at any time in the pregnancy. But don't tell that to the pro-life and pro-choice people. So as we head toward the State of the Union address before the Congress, Democrats are lining up to invite people to sit in the gallery that are pro-choice and have a situation that will allow them to focus on the issue of abortion to the exclusion of all other issues. They want you to focus on the controversial Alabama court decision on in vitro fertilization, which, by the way, most Republicans have denounced and sought to distance themselves from. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia will bring Elizabeth Carr, the first person to be born in vitro fertilization in the U.S., as his State of the Union guest. Senator Tammy Duckworth says she's bringing Illinois reproductive endocrinologist and infertility expert Dr. Amanda Adelier. Democratic Whip Catherine Clark from Massachusetts invited Amanda Zurowski, who is suing Texas after she nearly died when doctors delayed giving her a medically necessary abortion until she went into septic shock. First Lady Jill Biden invited Kate Cox as one of her guests. Cox, a Texas resident who fled the state to get an abortion care after the state Supreme Court denied her an emergency abortion to terminate a non-viable pregnancy. Now, in those two cases, these women have a legitimate case, and I believe they should have been granted the right to get an abortion. But I'm not downplaying the importance of this issue to people. It's an emotional one on both sides. I find it ironic that most Republicans want government out of their lives, but in this case, they want government to regulate. Democrats want government to be involved in our lives, but in this case, they want the government to butt out. So why the focus on abortion at this stage of the campaign? A quick look at how the public views Biden's performance on other issues gives you the answer. On the economy, that average the last 10 polls taken is 40% approve of his handling of the economy and 58% disapprove. On foreign policy, the average is 37% approve and 60% disapprove. On immigration, which has become one of the number one issues, 31% approve and 64% disapprove. On inflation, 30% approve and 55% disapprove. On handling the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, 35% approve and 60% disapprove. And how he's handling the Ukrainian conflict, 43% approve and 59% disapprove. Now, these are issues that affect each and every American, and several of them, like the economy, immigration, and inflation, affect us every day. And Biden is failing in all of them. You only need to go to the grocery store to get a dose of sticker shock. I hear doctors all my life telling us we should eat less red meat and we've ignored that advice for the most part until now when we see a package of 4 New York strip steaks at Costco coming in at $80 plus. So when you hear any politician focusing on a single issue like abortion, realize they don't have support for their other policies, the ones that really affect you on a daily basis, and they want to turn up the emotional firefight. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.